that.
Okay.
I'll post it immediately.
Because I also have a video that I'm going to show. It's about
Okay.
in the course of the thing. So I've already queued it. So, it's about 10 minutes into the into the lecture. I'll show the video.
Okay. I've made the post already.
Okay.
So we're expecting people to join us. Yeah, you're welcome, Mr. Richard. Mr. Said Chair, you're welcome also. Thanks for joining us today. We appreciate your presence. Mr. Ijiro, always here with us. We appreciate your presence too. Thank you for making it up again, as usual. So we are trying to share the links across for people to start joining. So let us exercise patience. Okay. Right. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you all for making it up to another episode, episode Safety Enlightenment series 25. This 25 is very unique to us because it's half of a golden jubilee. I think they call it silver jubilee or something. That is to say, we've hosted 25 safety enlightenment session on Zoom only, because we have other platform like other platform where where we've done various safety enlightenment. We do on Instagram, we do on Facebook. We also do that on podcast. There's an app that they call podcast, like a radio section. We also host event there. We have personal videos of safety enlightenment. But when it comes to enlightening people on safety, specifically on Zoom, this is our 25th series, and it's really a good a milestone for us. We really appreciate all of us who have made this possible. We appreciate everyone who is here today to once again get enlightened. Without you coming down, we might not be motivated to do more. We appreciate your presence, the presence of everybody who has made it up to this section with us. This is 504. We have a good number already as far as I'm concerned, because I believe that people can always watch us from anywhere, from every part of the world. We are also live on YouTube. You can join us. You can watch us from YouTube. You're going to send the YouTube link right on in the chat section. If you have the YouTube link already, please kindly drop it on the chat section for people to send to others to join us. Today is a very unique day. Like I said, we have our professor with us, safety ambassador, safety champion, one of the top safety professionals that we have in Nigeria. And he will be doing us well, doing us good by giving us part of his time, his knowledge, to enlighten us on a very important aspect of safety. We said that there are a lot of areas that we talk about the safety, and as safety professionals, it is not only about being able to spot hazard, being able to define risk, being able to analyze risk or hazard, or tell us how you want to go around observing hazard or correcting people. There are a lot of managerial aspects as safety professionals that we also need to start looking at. How do you convince your management? How do you convince your top leadership? How do you let them know that safety has a significant effect on the cost, on the accident, counting the cost, safety versus accident, counting the cost. And I hope, am I very clear, please? Please, if I'm not clear, can you drop it in the comment section so that I will know that my network is not doing well, because sometimes the network can be very funny. So as we do always, I'm going to add a couple of persons to be the co-host, because in case the network takes me off as they used to, we will have something. We have a backup. So Mr. Ejiro, you are, as usual, our co-host. Mr. Richard took in very early. Yes, so he's also a co-host to this section. So we have 21 on ground already. Yeah, and I believe that more people are to join in this already. 507. By 5:10, Mr. Wale Bakare will start. And I believe that it's going to be a very interesting moment. Aside the fact that the topic we are discussing today is a very sensitive topic, it's a very detailed topic. The professor that is handling the topic also is also well detailed, well versed, and well experienced. So with his experience, acumen, with his knowledge, his skills, and everything he has had, he will use it, bombard it, and use it to educate us on this very important topic. So before we continue, I would like to read on who Mr. Wale Bakare is. And I want us to listen to this so that we know that we have an expert with us today talking, educating us on this very important topic. Mr. Wale Bakare is a respected, award-winning international health and safety trainer, certified auditor, and management system specialist. He has worked and trained in England, Scotland, Turkey, and across the African continent, including Nigeria, Ghana, Cameroon, Uganda, Tanzania, Kenya, South Africa, and Zambia. Wow. While working in England, he scored 100% on a congent audit carried out during one of his training sections. 100%. Imagine. His experience and expertise in health and safety have afforded him the opportunity to coordinate and supervise many health and safety projects, both in the public and private sectors in Nigeria. He was a member of the technical committee on the review of the water sector and sanitation policy in Lagos State, as well as the team that developed the draft water policy for Rivers State on behalf of the Rivers State Ministry of Waters and Resources. Beautiful. A member of the World Bank funded EMPLAN Atkins team that carried out the technical assistance for the technical assistance for the update of the Environmental and Social Management Plan, ESPN, and the consultancy service on early flood warning system and dam safety at Kanji and Jeba Dams rehabilitation project under the Niger Basin Water Resources Development and Sustainable Ecosystem Management Programs. That is in Nigeria. Wale, I'm too small to mention that. Professor Wale was the health and safety expert on an EU Commission, that is European Union Commission, funded project on technical assistance for program implementation at state level, water supply and sanitation sector reform program, WSSSRM, which covered 5 Nigerian states, and most recently led a team on the capacity building of 16 state water agencies under the 3rd National Urban Water Sector Reform Project, funded by the World Bank. This includes helping them set up this HSMS, Health Safety Management System. He was recently team lead on the E4D SOGA project on upgrading HS practices and standards in 30 selected Ugandan enterprise and initiative of GIS and UKAID. Those are some bodies. Professor Wale writes on contemporary Nigerian politics and society, as well as well-versed in the areas of health and safety. And may I use this opportunity to welcome to the floor to start the training of today. It's exactly 5:10. Mr. Wale Bakare, over to you, sir.
All right. Thank you very much, Wale. That was some humbling accolade you read out there. I appreciate it, but yes, I noticed that you were struggling with the bits of it that call me by name. Hey, this is when we are in a professional environments and professional circumstances like this. We have to go with world best practice. Thank you very much. Can you hear me, Waliu?
Yes, loud and clear, sir.
Okay, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished delegates or learners or colleagues, whichever group you fall into. I'm very pleased to be here to share with us 1 or 2 things this afternoon for us to interact together and possibly learn from one another. It's always my belief that there's no any opportunity to interact with professional colleagues, even if I'm on one side of the table. It's a wasted opportunity if I don't take something away from it myself. So I'm hopeful that we will together go through these few slides and generally have a discussion around the subject matter in such a way that we will together leave this place more enriched and more knowledgeable about about accidents and what the true costs of accidents are in business, or what the true costs of accidents are to a business and even to the society at large. So if you're ready, let's get going. I think we've got about 26 participants in the room. That's a very good number, and I think it's good enough for us to start. So we are going to be looking today or this evening at safety versus accidents, and what exactly are the costs, counting the costs of accidents to the business and accidents in the workplace. But first, we need to first understand that there's a reason why we, or there are reasons why we need to manage health and safety within the workplace in such a way that we can have a safe working environment to the best possible, in the best possible manner. And these reasons have generally been stripped down to 3, all right? And these 3 headings more or less describe and tell of all the various other reasons why it is important for us to pay attention to health and safety within the workplace, and why it is important to manage health and safety properly. Okay, and the number 1 reason, of course, or the first reason, is that it is just the right thing to do. It is just the right thing to do. It is the correct thing to do. Nobody leaves home in the morning, and if there's anybody here that has a contrary view, please just indicate by raising up your hand. You use the button to raise up your hand, and feel free to disagree. But I sort of think that nobody leaves home in the morning and comes to work and says, today is a good day for me to have an accident. Wouldn't it be lovely for me to go home today without one of my arms or one of my legs? I don't really think so. No matter how no matter how unsafely or how foolishly, quote and unquote, the worker might behave, it's not because he deliberately wants to get injured. It's not because he thinks that it's a good day for him to lose a limb or to lose an eye. No. And when somebody comes to you as a business owner or as the holder of the duty of care, all right, to work for you and help you make money, it is immoral, it is wrong for you to make that money at the expense of the well-being, at the expense of the wellness, at the expense of even the life of the worker. All right. So it's the moral, it's just the moral thing to do. And the world we live in these days, the world of work these days, especially with the amazing work that has been done by the ILO. The ILO is the International Labour Organization. All right. The ILO, the work the ILO has been able to do since its foundation, almost 60 years ago, has been awesome in the area of getting people to actually work much more safely and in a way that will reduce accidents at work and situations that impact negatively on the worker. All right. So then you have the second reason, of course, which is the legal reason for managing health and safety in the workplace. It's a legal requirement, you see. Even if for any reason you happen to be one of those people who don't have a moral guide or a moral compass, all right? People that generally believe that it is make the money or die trying, okay? You know, you're not guided by any moral principles. So health and safety is not a moral concern for you. Well, that is fine. But it is a legal requirement. It is a legal imperative. The law says that you must manage health and safety in a proper manner, and you must put in place controls to ensure that people that come to work for you are able to do so in an area or in an environment that is free of risks, that is free of hazards, and whether long-term or short-term issues. Okay, in Nigeria, the workplace is covered by the Factories Act of 1987, all right, which is now known as the Factories Act of 1990, and that's due to a substantial revision that has been carried out on the Factories Act, which initially, of course, came into play in Nigeria as far back as 1958, all right, passed down to us by the colonial authorities at the time. All right, there are a few other laws that are also in place which help to guide the workers' welfare and health and safety, including things like the Workers' Compensation Act, Employees Compensation Act of 2011, and stuff like that. They are all in place to provide a legal imperative, a legal guidance for the workplace. And if, like I said, you are not bothered by the moral issue, of course, then you should be bothered by the legal by the legal requirements, by the legal imperative for you to manage health and safety. But knowing the situation we are in, especially in Nigeria, because of the weak enforcement of our laws, that in itself might still not be enough to convince some business owners to manage health and safety in the proper manner. All right, and we see that in the course of our work, we see that all the time. We see that all the time. So what then will be a convincing argument? All right, because for you guys who are in the profession and who need to make a case for health and safety to your employers, you need to be able to know how to present your case in such a way that your request for anything to do with health and safety will be given favorable consideration. So even if the man is not swayed by the moral issues and is not swayed by the legal issues, it then must be swayed by the financial issues that relate to poor health and safety management. All right, the financial motivation is always very key. Okay, the financial motivation is always very key. When a business is set up and is being run for the purpose of profits, all right, it's being run for the purpose of making profits. Anything that can take away from that profit or from that bottom line is given prime consideration by the employer or the business owner. So when you want to present your case, and this is a good one, when you want to present the case for health and safety, you need to be able to anchor it, aside from the moral and the legal pegs, you need to also be able to anchor it on the financial peg. All right, and that is essentially the reason why we're having this discussion this afternoon. All right, so again, I'll summarize it. The main reasons why we need to manage health and safety properly are the moral reasons, the legal reasons, and the financial reason. What I'm going to do now, I hope you can all hear me very clearly. I'm going to show you a video. I'm going to show you a video clip very quickly. It will mean, Wale, can you hear me? Hello, Wale?
Loud and clear.
Okay, so what I'm going to switch over to show a video now. I hope I'm able to get this right. I need to minimize because I couldn't embed it into my presentation because of the application for.
So what you just do is this: just minimize this, open the video, then go to your Zoom, click on share, then you now click on that video icon.
All right.
Yeah.
So let me see, to minimize this, I've got to.
Just look for the video, open the video, then come back to this Zoom.
No, I've already put the video on pause.
Okay, now go to your share at the base of Zoom, where those two spots are. You see share screen.
Yes.
New share. New share. Then you look for the video. It will bring up.
I've seen it. Yes.
Yeah, click on it.
Okay. All right. Lovely. We
can see it.
Okay, so I'll just play it. I hope the sound comes out very clearly to everybody. And
just play it first. Then I would see if it comes out. It's fine. I can hear you.
All right, I'll be back after the video.
All right, sir. This is somebody snoring.
Every day of our life is potentially the day when we're involved in a serious accident. A few of us can't even make it out of the bedroom. Others don't make it down the stairs in one piece. A lot of us manage to cut or burn ourselves in the kitchen. And when it comes to do-it-yourself accidents, it seems there's no stopping us. Even if we manage to avoid an accident at home, there's plenty more ways we can kill and injure ourselves and others on the roads. Sadly, many of these will be children. And how many of us have had a near miss recently?
Think. Slow down.
And when we get to work, are we any safer? Well, statistically we are, but still far too many of us lose eyes or limbs, fall from height, get hit by moving vehicles, or do stupid things which cost us dearly for the rest of our lives. But why do we risk being killed or severely injured by an accident at work? It's because we make bad decisions, often through rushing or lack of planning, and rely to a large extent on luck. Every fatality starts with an unsafe act, and according to statistics, 1 in 2 million unsafe acts will result in a death. However, on average, there will be approximately 240,000 near misses, 20,000 minor injuries, and 400 reportable serious injuries, leading up to a death. On the other hand, you can be killed on your first day at work, because no one can predict the outcome of an accident. Unsafe behaviour is a form of gambling. On many occasions we win, but when we lose, we can lose big time. We can lose everything. I want to tell you about an accident that had a big impact on my life. In my hometown, a scaffolder called Joe was working on a construction site about 10 metres from the ground when his mobile phone rang. So he stopped what he was doing to answer it.
Hello, love, what's up?
Now this in itself is an unsafe act when working on scaffolding. But as he was loosening the fittings on a guardrail and hadn't yet clipped on his harness, it wasn't the safest place to be taking a call.
The egg gasket? Oh, you're kidding me.
That was Joe's first bad decision. He could have left his phone in his locker or switched it off and looked at his messages during his break. But he didn't.
Well, what's it going to cost?
He chose to ignore an important safety rule that he had only been reminded about by his supervisor that very morning.
Mobile phones. Do not answer your mobile phone while on the scaffold. Move to a safe place of work so you can answer the phone.
How much?
Well, it wasn't good news on the phone, But it wasn't urgent either, and as he became more agitated, Joe inched nearer to the guardrail, which he had already loosened at one end.
Get another quote.
But suddenly he saw his supervisor across the site, ended the call and got on with his work.
Hang on, I'll have to call you back later.
His unsafe act was just one of 2 million unsafe acts where nothing else happened. If only that was true. Fortunately for Joe, or unfortunately as it turned out, his supervisor was called back at the last moment, so Joe carried on talking on his mobile.
Okay, but I shouldn't be on the mobile up here.
What actually happened next was that Joe's mate Darren came along the scaffold and had to squeeze past him. Darren went to lean on the guardrail, but Joe suddenly remembered that he had loosened it. Darren gave Joe a bit of a ticking off and should have reported the incident as a near miss. But they were good mates, and it had never happened before. It was just one of 240,000 near misses that remain just that. Near misses. The type we've all had at some time in our lives. Except it didn't quite happen that way. Darren and Joe were good friends. They'd worked together for years. But familiarity can breed complacency.
Okay, mate. Darren! Ah! You're right. Sorry, mate.
Luckily, Joe's quick reaction saved Darren from falling off the scaffold when the guardrail gave way. It held enough at one end for Joe to haul Darren back, but at the cost of a painful landing on his knee.
Hey! Darren, I'm sorry.
It was a minor injury, one of 20,000 minor injuries that never become anything else. A bit of first aid, a bit of sticking plaster, and a relieved friend who realises that it was his fault, but is too embarrassed to report himself to his supervisor.
I'm so sorry, mate. I've never done anything like that before. You know that.
But Joe didn't get away with it. His supervisor heard about the incident and conducted an inquiry. Joe was reprimanded by his supervisor and given a warning that his unsafe act would be held on record and any further breaches of safety would not be tolerated.
Well, it will be recorded and it will last on your record for 6 months. Darren, I understand.
With 3 children and a new baby to support, Joe could not afford to lose his job. But apart from a minor injury to Darren and a warning as to his future behaviour, the cost of the accident was very small. At least it would have been, if that was the whole story. What actually happened that day is this. Joe did answer a phone call whilst he was in the act of loosening the guardrail fittings.
Hello, love. What's up?
He almost ended the call when he saw his supervisor. And Darren was pushing him to get a move on. But nothing happened to Darren. In almost all serious accidents, 85% of them could have been prevented by the person who had the injury. But Joe failed to see the hazard caused by loosening the guardrail while not clipped on. He didn't realise who might be in danger of an accident. He didn't think about the risk of answering his phone while in an unsafe position. And so there was nothing to prevent what happened next.
Just see if you can knock him down. Go!
Joe broke both his legs, fractured his pelvis, and suffered a serious spinal injury. But after months in hospital, the doctors managed to put him back together again. He survived an horrific fall, but paid a terrible price. Apart from the injuries which disabled him for life, he lost his income, his freedom, and he couldn't even obtain compensation. In the subsequent legal action for damages, Joe was found to have broken his terms of employment. He had placed himself and others at risk by working in an unsafe manner, despite having been given clear safety instructions which he had signed the very morning of his accident. One bad decision, to talk on his mobile phone whilst working, ruined his life and that of his wife and children, who will have to get by on welfare for the foreseeable future. The medical costs of his accident ran into tens of thousands of pounds, with the mobility costs continually mounting. Had he remained a scaffolder for his entire working life, he could have earned over £1 million. And the cost of preventing his accident? Nothing. Joe's employer did not have a case to answer for in terms of his misconduct. SGB was found to be one of the safest companies in the construction industry and trained their staff to the highest standards. They had carried out a proper risk assessment for Joe's job and given him a toolbox talk, which included not using a mobile phone whilst working. Yet they were forced to pay out a record amount in compensation. And you want to know why? Everything about Joe's accident happened exactly as I've already described. He loosened the guardrail fitting. He stopped to take a phone call.
Hello, love, what's up?
Darren tried to hurry him along.
Right, Joe?
He got a bit agitated,
I don't want to make a decision right now.
and he forgot that he had loosened the guardrail.
See if you can knock him down.
When he came crashing over the side of the scaffolding, I heard him scream. I looked up, and that was the last thing I ever saw. You see, I was killed instantly when the board Joe was holding sailed beyond the safety fence and struck me on the head. And whatever the cost of Joe's injuries, they are nothing compared to mine. I have children who will grow up without a mother, and a husband who will have to cope without me. I know what you're thinking. I was unlucky enough to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. A few seconds later, and the board would have hit the path. A few seconds earlier, and I would have passed by unharmed. The truth is, the few seconds that killed me were the few seconds it took Joe to answer his phone. That one unsafe action set in motion a roll of the dice that happens with every unsafe act, no matter whether it's at work, in your car, or in your home. Where the dice lands could change your life forever. So it's best not to throw it in the first place.
All right. Welcome back. Let me just take us back to the presentation. I think this is where we are. All right. Yeah, Wale, can you hear me?
Loud and clear, sir.
All right, so we are back. Now, I don't know, can anybody share with us anything you took away from that short film, from that short video clip? Did it have the same impact on you that it has always had on me, no matter how many times I play it? Anybody just indicate by raising your hand.
Okay, someone has raised
Weston
his hand.
Musonda. Yes, Wale, can you let Weston Musonda speak, please?
Yeah, if you can unmute himself, you can speak. Please.
Good evening. This is Musonda Weston from Zambia. In Nigeria. I'm so grateful to be part of this team in this training. Just a quick one. I think one of the key things that I've picked from this video is we cannot take chances with life. We only have one life, but if we take it properly, once is enough. There's no familiarity when it comes to work. When something has happened, even if it involves a friend, we need to have them reprimanded and ensure that that is corrected. Because like we saw, the friend took it so simple because they're friends and they don't speak, then what happens was worse. So it's quite an eye-opener, and I've picked a lot, I've learned a lot personally, and something that we would want to see implemented from. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Weston. If I may reiterate what Weston says, that it was particularly intrigued by the fact that the accident could have been stopped by the colleague of John when he first came upon the hazard that was being posed by John answering his phone on the scaffold. And it is very important that we all take it upon ourselves to be our brother's keeper. And when we see things that are not right within the workplace, we need to quickly raise the alarm. As a matter of fact, it actually is a legal requirement. At least I know under the Health and Safety at Work Act of the UK, it is a legal requirement that if you see something that is not right at work, you as a co-worker, you've got a you've got a duty. You are mandated to bring it up with management as quickly as possible. And if you do not, if something happens, of course, following investigations, you could actually have a case to answer. But now let's look at a couple of quick definitions. I would like to believe that we all know what a hazard is. All right? I would like to believe that we all know what a hazard is. But for the purpose of those that might be joining us on this journey of health and safety for the first time, when we talk about hazards in health and safety, we refer to anything that has the potential to cause harm. It might not necessarily be something that is causing harm at the moment, or something that is obviously a risk, or something that is obviously dangerous at the point at which you are interfacing with it. But it's a hazard because the potential for it to cause harm is latent in it. I'm just going to change my position very briefly now, because I've got people in the house and they are making a bit of noise. Okay.
It is fine, sir.
Right. So, and when we talk about hazards, it's important. It's very important for you to be able to identify hazards when you see them, because that will then be the basis on which you will assess the risks that could arise from those hazards. All right. Risk, of course, is the likelihood that hazard will result in harm. The hazard that you've identified earlier will result in harm, but that will be in conjunction with the severity of the harm that could occur. All right. Mathematically, you can express it as risk equals likelihood multiplied by consequence. The point to note, of course, is that the higher the likelihood that harm would result from the hazard, the higher the risk, and the more grave the consequence, the higher the consequence, the more harmful the outcome will be. Also indicates the high level of priority that you should attach to that risk. All right. So these are important terminologies for us to know. But when we talk about accidents, we say an accident is an unplanned and unwanted event which could lead to injury or loss. Obviously, that's what makes it an accident. Nobody plans to have an accident. Nobody works accidents into the work process. All right. It's an unplanned situation. It's an unplanned and an unwanted situation that has occurred and which have led to actual damage or injury of some sort. All right. But why do accidents happen at work? Why do accidents happen at work? Obviously, there are immediate causes, and there are underlying or root causes that together lead to the eventual happenstance, which we call an accident. All right. The immediate causes are often quite easy for us to identify: overexertion, whether it's by manual handling or even engaging in some kind of physical activity, not properly managing fatigue, overloading, doing things that you know that you shouldn't do, exerting yourself in a way that is unsafe. All right, that is one of the leading causes of accidents at work. Of course, you've got the fact that people take shortcuts. People take shortcuts because they want to get more done, or because they are just too lazy to, or too uncaring to go through the process, or they just want to get. Sometimes even workers take shortcuts in an attempt to actually make money for the company. It's not every time that a worker takes a shortcut that is actually for the benefit of his own person. There are times when people do things because they want to help. So it's at such points, and I'm going to be addressing things as they come up. You know, talking about this taking of shortcuts, I think it's important for us to talk about it. Very quickly. I would like to ask a question now. If you come upon a worker, all right, on the production line, okay, trying to use a screwdriver to extricate or to remove a piece of product that has gotten stuck within the machinery, all right, because he wants to get the work back on track as quickly as possible. And as a supervisor, as a manager, you can see what he's doing. All right, he's trying to use a screwdriver which should not be used. He knows he shouldn't be using a screwdriver. All right, but he wants to get the production line back on track as quickly as possible. As a manager or as a supervisor coming upon that kind of situation, what will you do? What will you do? Of course, you know that you want to encourage your workers to be able to take initiative. You want to encourage them to be proactive. Okay, you want them to be proactive, you want them to be loyal, and you want them to be dedicated to their job. But here you now come upon a situation where this man is using a screwdriver to correct a situation that he shouldn't actually be using a screwdriver to correct. What will be your response as a supervisor or as a manager? Anybody?
Good evening, sir.
People, we've got to do this together.
Good evening, sir. If you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, as a supervisor.
What will you do?
Okay, as a supervisor, I'll first of all stop the work, and I would ask questions to the worker. I would ask him.
Who is speaking, please?
My name is Ejiro Michael.
Oh, Ejiro, yes, please.
And I would ask him if he is an electrician, because you're working with either a grinding machine and something is stuck and you want to remove it with a screwdriver. I would ask him, are you an electrician? And he says no. And I'll tell him, only an experienced and a certified electrician is allowed to fix or tamper any power tool. So for that reason, if you're doing this, one, you're going to damage this equipment. And two, even if you find a way to fix it, you are just creating room for other things to happen to you by using this machine, because you might not fix it properly. So instead of you to tamper with this thing, stop it, take it to the electrician that is approved by the company, let them help you fix this thing, and get another machine to use, or wait for that one to be fixed before you continue the assignment.
Very, very good, Ejiro. Thank you very much. Very, very, very good. You see, in as much as you do not want to discourage or dampen the spirit of the man, it is important that wherever you find someone doing the wrong thing or working in an unsafe manner, no matter how beneficial no matter how beneficial it is to the organization, you must correct it. You must make him understand that that is an unacceptable way of working, and that is an unacceptable situation. No matter, it does not matter if he's trying to save the organization money or he's trying to do make the organization money. All right. Any money that is made in an unsafe manner should not. Any money that is made in an unsafe manner is not money well made. Okay, all right. So improper lifting, poor housekeeping, poor housekeeping, inadequate PPE, all these are singular factors that could lead, that could just be the preceding factors leading to accidents falling from heights, of course, especially in construction sites, either due to one of several reasons. Poor handling and storage of hazardous materials. All of these are reasons why accidents happen. But we all know that all these are the outcome of some underlying or initiating factors, what we call the underlying or root causes. Okay, usually the underlying or the root cause can always be traced to poor safety culture within the organization, or in well over 80% of cases, a failure of management. All right, so management failure. And that is where the corrective action needs to begin to take place, because anything that you do to address the immediate causes that we looked at in the preceding slide will repeat itself. It will come up again. It will happen again. All right. As long as these underlying or root causes have not been addressed. Okay. Deficient management systems or lack of a management system, failure in operation, inadequate or poor system design. All of these are management issues. Leadership failure. All right. Poor management decisions, lack of resources provided by management, poor or inadequate organization, improper allocation of responsibilities. All of these are management issues that could lead to a poor safety culture and an increase in the workplace accidents. All right. Are we all on the same page? Are we all together?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
now,
sir,
when
yes,
an
sir,
accident happens, it is often quite easy to approximate what the direct cost related to the accident could be. All right, it's often quite a straightforward matter to calculate the cost of replacement of damaged machinery, the cost of replacement of lost products, and things like that. They are not that difficult to compute. All right, these are the direct costs. Okay, they are easy to quantify. The talk of damaged equipment, properties, etc. The lost product, medical aid, the cost of getting medical and hospital bills. All right, but the more difficult one to deal with or to foresee are the indirect costs that will arise. All right, and what are some of these indirect costs? We are going to look at a bit of them now. All right, so you have your direct costs and your indirect costs. Like I said, the direct costs are pretty straightforward: damage to equipment, damage, loss of property, loss of products, hospital bills. You can calculate all those quite easily. But when it comes to indirect costs, then you have a bit of a challenge being able to properly foresee what those indirect costs could eventually even mount up to. Okay. Now, your direct costs, like I said, damage to materials, equipment, buildings, compensation, sick pay, even legal fines. And the thing is that when it comes to direct costs, you can actually take out some insurance. All right, because you've got your insured and uninsured costs. You can actually take out insurance against direct costs because you can foresee them. Okay, but when it comes to indirect costs, they are usually uninsured. All right, because how do you insure delays to the project or the production line? Which insurance company is going to give you is going to cover you for delays to your production. What about cost of overtime to recover from delays? There's no way that you can foresee and calculate that in advance. What about the loss of skills, the loss of knowledge if your worker dies? How do you replace that? How do you calculate that? How do you quantify that? The loss of experience. All of these are indirect costs that arise from an accident in the workplace. Okay? You need to look at the cost of temporary workers that you might need to replace injured staff or to recover lost time. And there are more. The cost of investigating the accident, the management time that is taken off regular management work to go and set up an investigation team. Time that should be spent making money for the company is being spent on investigating something that has happened. How long is the shutdown of operations going to be? Depending on what kind of accident it is. All right? Indirect costs. Right? And we have still not talked. We have still not talking yet about a fatality. Imagine if someone dies in the UK. Someone is killed at work almost every working day. Almost every working day, somebody dies in the course of their work. Now imagine in Nigeria, and that is in the UK, where you have one of the most stringent, if not the most stringent, health and safety regulation anywhere on the face of the planet. So somebody still dies at work every single day. Then you cannot come back to Africa and look at situations where we don't really have very strong legislation, or we don't really enforce even the legislation that is in place. How many people then do you think will probably be dying in the course of their work or as a result of their work across the continent? The among us losses of skills that we face on every single day. Okay. Now we're looking at this cost. Before we go here, still talking about our indirect costs. There's a particular cost which often is overlooked, probably because of the fact that it's not given priority, or it's not given the primacy that it deserves in our own environment, and that is the cost to your reputation. The cost to your reputation when you become known as the company that kills people. All right. When workers leave, when workers go and they go talking about how many people have lost their lives, how many people have had amputations or injuries, or when people go to work in that particular company, 5 years down the line after they stop working, they become blind, or they suffer debilitating illnesses that they never recover from. And these are things that over time build up and give you a reputation that becomes difficult to get away from. Okay. Now, while your direct costs, the obvious direct costs that you face when you have an accident, like I said, can be easy to compute, your indirect costs are the costs that are actually below the iceberg. All right, they are the costs below the iceberg. When you look at, I'm very sure a lot of us are already familiar with the iceberg impact or the iceberg principle. The iceberg principle was developed by a gentleman called Frank Bird. Frank Bird is one of the icons of the health and safety industry, and he was an American. So he came up with the iceberg, the iceberg theory, in addition to several other things that he came up with, which we study in the course of learning safety. But what he said about the iceberg impact or the iceberg principle is that for every dollar above the waterline, the costs below the waterline tend to range from 6 to even as much as 50 times, 53 times the cost above the waterline. So for every $10,000 or every 10,000 naira or 10,000 kwacha that you can calculate as the cost of this accident, from looking at the damage to property, the lost products, the damage to equipment, the cost of the cost of medical bills, when you put all that together, then you need to multiply it by even as much as 53 times for you to get the real cost of what that accident, the real cost of that accident to the business. All right. When you look at things, when we are talking of your indirect costs, now we're looking at reduced, we're talking of reduced or lost productivity as a result of the accident. Because as long as that accident has not been fully investigated and dealt with, the morale of the workers is going to be low. All right, their willingness to work will be diminished. A hungry man is an angry man. Well, an angry man in the workplace is a dangerous man. All right, so as long as the workers' morale is low, you cannot get full productivity out of them. What about possibility of lost contracts? You are in the middle of preparing 500,000 T-shirts to be used on Independence Day. All right, 500,000 T-shirts that have to be delivered the following day to be used on Independence Day, which is about 3 days away. And then you have an accident. Somebody falls into the vat, or somebody, due to some reason or the other, there's a stoppage of work. You're unable to deliver, you're unable to meet that contract. Not only will you lose the value of that particular contract, unless corruption is involved, unless you bribe somebody, it is unlikely you're going to ever get another contract from that client. Now, it doesn't then end there, because that client is now going to sue you for whatever losses they incur. And then furthermore, you're going to end up with lost business from the knock-on that should have come from that business that has been terminated. All right. Everybody if there had been no problem, everyone that client would have told about you or would have sold your business to, okay, will be potentially lost business to you. You've not gotten the business, no, but it's potential business. And it's a potential loss, because you're never going to get the business that you should have gotten if you had delivered on time. And you would have delivered on time if not for that accident. Can we understand what I'm trying to say here? So it's not just what you can see at the point or what you can see immediately that you are dealing with. You are dealing with fundamental issues that go to the very core of your ability to get repeat business. All right. Look at how do you quantify the lost time at the supervisory level that is dedicated to retraining people who is standing for the lost skills? How do you quantify the losses in terms of senior management time that is spent in the courts, that is spent in investigations, that is spent attending to the regulatory bodies or to the regulatory agencies, that is spent talking to the insurance companies? What about costs of training replacements? You need to pay people overtime to probably step in for the people that have been injured. Indirect costs, potential legal fees, equipment repairs. Like I said, negative publicity. Deepwater Horizon, Shell. I'm sure some BP, not Shell. Some of us might still remember the accidents in the Atlantic or Pacific Ocean where they spilled the production platform spilled oil all over the ocean. Apart from the fact that the financial cost of that accident, as at the last time I checked, had risen to something in the region of, I think, $18 billion. The negative impact that accident had on BP, on Halliburton, was global. All right. So when you look at all this, and you aggregate them, you can see how easily the Frank Bird's postulation of 6 to 53 times the cost of the direct cost can easily be arrived at. Very recently, the industrial court here in Nigeria ordered a company, a foundry, to pay a worker compensation for injuries suffered to the tune of 70 million naira. And we were ordered to pay it within 30 days. That is for an industrial accident. Apparently this worker suffered an injury and got permanently disabled, wasn't treated properly. And the bottom line is that the court, the company was taken to court, and the court found in favor of the worker after 3 years of running the case to the tune of 70 million. Now, for a foundry losing 70 million, paying 70 million out in damages, that is as well as paying for legal fees, could have very, very detrimental effects, if not long-term, on that organization. At the very least, in the short term, there will be a reckoning. Because when you look at it, 70 million is probably about as much as the company would have declared as profit after tax for the year. And all that is going on just one accident. There are community relations issues, negative publicity, reputational damage, and so on and so forth, that they still have to contend with. And even though they try to make it out that this person was not a full-time staff, was not their worker, and they didn't have a duty of care towards him. Of course, the court did not agree. So no, there is a relationship here between your organization and this person. You cannot say you try to treat him because out of good corporate social responsibility. But the important thing to us, and the bottom line for us, is that the organization ended up having to pay out this humongous amount of money because of this accident. All right. So what do we do? We'll be rounding up very soon, so just stay with me. What do we do to avoid what I call the banana skin? How do we prevent accidents? How do we prevent accidents? It's very, very important, first and foremost, for organizations to have, of course, a semblance of a management system in place, because it's the management system, if worked properly, and which, if given the kind of premises that it should have, that will prevent or at least reduce substantially the likelihood that you will have accidents within the workplace. It's important to conduct risk assessments. That is the only way you can know what risks exist within the workplace, which you need, of course, to tackle, which you need to control. You need to conduct a risk assessment, a corporate risk assessment, which will, of course, identify your hazards, determine who is going to be harmed and how they can be harmed. You come up with the appropriate controls, all right, to deal with those hazards or to reduce those risks, and then you are on your way to having an accident-free workplace. Very important to maintain and inspect machinery properly. As at when due, you've got usually there are, I think, 3 types of maintenance regime. Scheduled maintenance. What are the other 2? You have your scheduled maintenance. You have your
breakdown maintenance,
condition-based maintenance, and then the third one, when the machine finally packs up.
That's the breakdown
in
maintenance.
an organization in which you have a poor safety culture, and in which the management system is not working, and where management does not provide resources, they do not conduct scheduled maintenance. They don't. There's always something that is more critical. There's always something that requires money. So they keep on pushing, even when the signs begin to come up, when the machinery begins to show signs of decay, begins to show signs of wear and tear, management keeps on delaying. All right, let's get one more rotation out of it. Let's get one more production out of it. And then you end up having an accident that could be very, very detrimental to the company or to the organization. Training. If you don't provide training, people will do things in the way they know how, or they will copy somebody else, complete with the bad habits of that person. You need to provide regular and up-to-date training. You need to train and retrain. You need to train and retrain. You need to, safety training is compulsory. Job safety training is essential. Training in how to carry out risk assessment, training in recognition of hazards. PPE. Provide appropriate PPE. Of course, we all know that PPE should never be your first line of defense when it comes to managing risks. It should not be. But PPE is crucial to the control of hazards and reduction of risks. PPE is crucial. After you've done all your other engineering controls or even your administrative controls, you need to also follow up with PPE. And the PPE, of course, must be changed as at when due, they must be well maintained and so on and so forth. You know everything that needs to be known about PPE. Keep workplaces clean. Good housekeeping, in short. Good housekeeping. Reduce the opportunity for slips and trips. Highlight hazards. Put up displays, signages. Let it be known what kind of hazardous materials are in the workplace. Where are the uneven floors? Where are the overhead beams? All this should be highlighted, put up display signs, and then even for communication, information, put up posters, safety communication, very important. Workers should be encouraged to report accidents and near misses. You remember in the video we watched, if Joe's friend had gone immediately and reported the near miss they had, probably the accident itself would have been avoided. Reporting of near misses are very important, even though there are various reasons why near misses are hardly ever reported. But you will find that in an organization where the safety culture is positive, there's a very high reportage of near misses. And like Frank Bird said, if you have enough near misses, you will get a fatal accident. So, any questions? Wale?
Yes, we are here with you, sir. So that was really a very sound presentation. Really appreciate your time, your presence, the energy you've dropped into this, and how you've taken your time to share knowledge with us. We really appreciate this, and we hope to have you more and more of this opportunity. And I hope you will give us such opportunity once again.
Anytime.
Yes, sir, thank you very much, sir. So this is the end of today's training. As we can see, it has been so enlightening, starting from the basis of what could lead to accidents and how we can understand the cost implication of various accidents that can happen, the cost implication, how it affects the organization, even as an individual, for the workers also, how it can affect them cost-wise, how it can affect their long-term plans, and how it can overall affect the progress of the organization. So if you have questions, because I have questions, if you have questions, please kindly raise up your hand so that we take the call for questions. So, sir, I have my own question.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, based on your last quote that you just gave us.
Yeah.
If you have enough near misses, you have a fatal accident. Yeah. What in situations where those near misses are present but are not reported, they are underreported? Does it mean that because you are reporting low near misses, that means that you will have low accidents?
Well, thank you, Wale. The thing with reporting of near misses is this: when near misses are reported, they give the organization the opportunity to address issues before they become a problem. All right. and this helps to avoid situations that are potentially grave. Now, where near misses are not reported does not mean that those near misses are not happening. Okay, the fact that they are not reporting them does not mean that they are not happening. As a matter of fact, if you put in place a near miss reporting program, you could, which is a positive thing. You could see that you could see a situation where there is a significant rise in the number of near misses within the organization, or even minor accidents, which might make you wonder that what's going on here? Is it that our culture, our safety culture has gone suddenly bad or what? No, it's a response. It's a positive response to the program that you have put in place. Now, the more near misses that are reported to the organization, the better prepared you are to be able to, one, test the controls that you have put in place. Maybe there's a problem with the risk assessments that were carried out. Maybe there's a problem with the kind of control measures that were put in place. Maybe people need to be trained or retrained. Okay, when you're able to, because when the study of these statistics that you get, because that's essentially what it will be, studying of statistics that you get from the near misses, we help you establish trends and patterns of what is happening within the organization. And then that helps you to address those issues in a way that will prevent a disaster down the line. Okay, what you need to do is to ensure that your workers understand the benefits to be derived, not just by the organization, but even by the workers themselves from reporting near misses. All right, it doesn't mean that you should incentivize near miss reporting by giving them. I have never been a proponent of rewarding, whether financially or otherwise, good safety, but of rewarding the workers for doing what they should do as far as safety is concerned, because then you've also seen situations where there's a contrary effect that could arise from when people try to win the from people trying to win rewards that are attached to the incentives. But the long and short of it is that near miss reporting is crucial, and it must be encouraged. And where your workers are not reporting near misses, you need to understand, or you need to immediately investigate why those near misses are not being reported. Is there a blame culture within the organization? Is the process for reporting near misses too cumbersome or too adult for the workers? Is there a situation where people that report near misses are bullied, or they are picked upon by their co-workers? All right, what is the process? How difficult is it to actually report the near miss? The simpler and more and less complex you make the process, the more people will be willing to go through with it. But if you make it such that before you report a near miss, somebody has to take time off from work, go and fill out 3 or 4 different forms, go and see the personnel manager. At the end of the day, say, man, I don't have time for this. This is not why I came to work. Do you understand me? So make the process very easy, make it as uncomplicated as possible, and let there be training, let the workers understand the benefits to be derived, not just by the organization, but even by the workers themselves from putting in place a good near miss reporting regime. I hope that's okay, Wale.
Yes, sir. But I still have a question, but let's answer. Someone is asking a question from the group, from the Mr. Sunday Odibo said, "Thank you, sir, for the presentation. My question now is that if near miss are reported and management does not take action due to negligence or nonchalant about it." Let me come again. Thank you, sir, for your presentation. My question now is that if near miss are reported and management not taking action due to negligence, or okay, I think the question is, what should you do if you have a situation where near miss are reported, but management are not doing anything about it? What should you do?
Well, that is something that comes up quite frequently in organizations with poor management and with poor safety culture. All right, people, the safety personnel bring up the issue of near misses to the management, and then instead of dealing with it, they push it aside. What I would suggest for you to do is to justify the need for action. All right, justify the need for action by management, and that is by putting together reports that shows the potential consequence. All right, the people in management might be unable to see the end from the beginning. All right, they're looking at it as a near miss. You are looking from, by virtue of your training, you are looking at already the potential end result. So you don't limit it to the, if you have a problem with that kind of, you don't limit your intervention to the near miss. Go to the end, go to the possible outcome. Take for instance, somebody had a near miss that could have resulted from falling from height. Do a report that shows what would have happened if that person had actually ended up falling and suffered probably a spinal injury. And what we've learned today, go in there with your facts and figures and let them know this is the potential cost of this near miss to this organization. So if we don't do something about these near misses, these are the things that are likely to happen. All right, and that very frankly is the best I think you can do. If you have a really recalcitrant management, even that might not be enough to get them to take action. All right, but as the safety officer or as the safety supervisor, you then should be able to go ahead on your own, investigate those near misses and put in place corrective action. Whether it's a review of your risk assessment that you want to carry out, whether it's to on your own give training, bring to the table your knowledge and experience. And when that is being seen as being done, maybe you might be able to convince your management to get involved. But it is very important that you are able to present a case. You're able to present a case, make a case to the management on why it is important for the near misses to be taken seriously. And that is by itemizing and bringing to the fore the need, the cost of an eventual accident on the organization. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, sir. Before we go to the next question, because the next question is a common question that has been asked almost every weekend. Before you go into that, talking about this last question, I used to say something personally. I used to say that there are some things that are the way our professional qualifications like NEBOSH, IOSH, there are a lot of curriculum that is involved, but we take those classes like 2 weeks, 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 week. Imagine taking the whole NEBOSH. When I wanted to do my NEBOSH, I read it from back to back for 2 months. It took me 2 months to read and study NEBOSH. So where am I driving at? No matter the certificate that we have, the certification, there are some things that they will not teach us. There are some skills that we might not get from the classes that we go due to the way it's been structured. And I used to talk about that most of the time. Example is when you just rightly spoke about justifying to your management how near misses can cost them a lot. Communication, how do you present like a professional, present in data, in HSC data, in trends and patterns, in lagging and leading indicators, how you can convince them cost-wise, understanding the cost, like how you train us today. You can't get it directly when you go to class, when you go to these 2-week classes. So there are some special trainings like these ones that we have, and some trainings that we are trying to organize in a few times that will make us to get this thing deeply. that will be of great advantage to us. So please, as much as we are trying to get certifications, we should also try as much as possible to also attend to be present in these courses that we will be giving in a few weeks to come. So, but before I go into detail about that, I think the next question, sir, Mr. Are you still here, sir? I think we lost him, but I would try and go over with the questions. So, how do you promote safety in an organization that does not include safety in the policy? Number one, you can't. How will I put it? You can't plug mango where there is no tree of mango. I don't know how to put it. A company that does not have a policy, does not include safety in its policy, there is no safety in the first place. It is when you have safety in the first place that we're talking about promoting safety. So the first is to establish safety. And establishing safety has to do with, firstly, like you like to mention, the policy. That is where it starts from. So you can't be talking about promoting safety when there is no safety in the first place. So the first thing to do is to establish it. And establishing means that creating avenues, creating methodologies, creating ideas, like establishing committees, meeting with the management. You can't give what you don't have. You yourself understanding I used to say, like I've been saying again, it's not, our profession as safety professionals has gone beyond just going to site to spot hazard. You are going beyond that. The world is going to the issue of sustainability. They are even past the issue of business productivity. Now we are going to sustainability at world level. So if you are still at the stage of thinking that you can just spot hazard, write report at the end of the week, at the end of the day, we are lagging behind. We are far behind that. So let us try as much as possible to first ourselves build our competency level in areas of soft skills. These areas are very, very important. They might look small, but they are the areas that actually push us out there. If you have the old knowledge, but you don't know how to put them down and how to communicate to top management and convince them, we are not doing the job. So for this question, to promote this safety in their organization, it starts from us ourselves, equipping ourselves, then from there, communicating and convincing the management from the knowledge that we've learned. I think that answers the question. Before I call on Mrs. Ruth, who is raising her hand, let me read this. Blessing Shinedu said, if management can't support even to fund housekeeping, then provision of PPE, even when they know that construction work at site needs one to kit up, but still the management failed to respond to your request. So what do you do? Or do I still work like that without proper safety measures because there's hazard already, but you are not the one to do the job but not support? I think this is similar to the first question. It shows that management does not give value or credence to safety. And since they are engaging you, they are engaging you for a purpose. Maybe just because they don't want to fulfill a legal requirement that every construction site to have a safety officer, and not really to implement or drive safety. So it's not left to your own industrial acumen. It's left to your own analytical skills. It's left to your own way of communicating, emotional intelligence, intellectual quotient, to be able to move along with the management, drive them, lobby with them, go along with them. Like we used to say, don't just believe that, okay, I'm just doing safety. Go into other areas. It requires a lot of job. There's no magic. Go into other areas, engineering, construction, what they are doing, assist them in other areas. Then when it comes to your zone, you too will be able to speak. But when you are in that kind of organization and you just relax on safety only, you might not really get what you need. I think that will answer that question. So Mrs. Ruth, please, in a few seconds, kindly unmute yourself and let us have you.
Yeah, good evening, professional colleagues. And I really appreciate the presenter. It's a nice topic. And most questions that were asked, they are issues affecting the safety officers at work. Now, what I usually do if I'm to build a case, because I heard when the presenter said you should build your case to the manager, I use safety statistics to build cases.
Beautiful.
Because Yes, you use safety statistics to build your case. For example, I can say, oh, the percentage of people that will be losing their hand in this administrative block is 65%. And unfortunately, the MD's office is one of the people that will be affected. Yeah, the man will be forced to adjust his glasses. And he will want to, yes, and he wants to listen to your case. And at the end of the day, if you are able to justify it, I think on the table there, you get what you want. So our inability to present our cases, probably using safety statistics, may not allow us to get most of the things we want from management. Then we have safety management is not being taken from the grassroots. What I mean from the grassroots, when the management are not involved, the HSE managers has a lot of work to do. Whenever they are having maybe the safety meeting or quarterly meeting with the management, they should come up with a presentation. Let them first train the SMM members. By the time they train the SMM members, that is one of the ways the information can now be passed down into their different departments. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you very much. Now, what you just talked about now is building a structure within the organization that the whole safety process will pass through, and that is very correct. So, Mr. Watson Musonda said, "Hi, my brother. I've heard you mention about Nebosh. Kindly send me your email or WhatsApp line. I would like to seek your advice." Okay, my WhatsApp line is 080-2865-7826. Once again, is 080-2865-7826. So you can chat me up for any advice you want. Thank you. So Mr. Muhammad Awal Muhammad said, "Very good presentation, really benefited a lot from the presentation. My question is, if workers and other members of staff fail to report near-miss cases and left that only to agency officer, is it wise for agency officer to always look for near-miss and advise management without any input from workers? It is not always the best." Yes, we have our guest back. Yeah, it is not always the best. It is not always the best. When you should build a system. There's what we call behavioral-based safety. You need to work along with the workers. Mr. Wale Bakare, are you there, sir? Are you there, sir? You need to work along with workers. You need to move alongside, understand the workers, understand what the workers need. That was how we used to say that safety is not. Okay, yeah, Mr. Wale Bakare is here. Yes,
Yeah,
yes, sir. We missed you. I think network issues from your side.
yes, I actually an issue with my laptop, and I had to change to my phone.
Okay, not problem. Yeah, we're in question and answer section, and it's going on very well. So
beautiful. Yeah.
So, well, after I am answering one already, so if you have another one, you help us to address that. So, talking about workers who don't report near misses. Workers who don't report near misses, is it wise for only the safety officer should be the one reporting near misses and advising the management without any input from workers?
No, is it when workers report near misses, there obviously should be processes in place. They are not reporting to the safety officer. Depending on whatever process is in place in that organization, that is to report to your immediate supervisor or to report to your immediate boss. I don't think a situation where the safety officer is going to be the first and only point of call. All right. When it comes to reporting near misses, I don't think it's the best way to go, because that's one of the ways in which the process becomes more complicated. All right. Having to go looking for the safety officer every time you have a near miss. Safety officer who himself might be otherwise engaged in something else. You should be able to report a near miss to your closest superior. All right, in such a way that if he then believes that something that needs to be taken forward, should then make the appropriate documentation available for reporting the near miss. At the end of the day, is the work of the safety officer to aggregate those near misses and then make the report to management. But it shouldn't be the work of the safety officer to be the first point of call for every near miss within the organization, unless, of course, it's a very small organization that everybody can have quick and unhindered access to the safety officer. Otherwise, you are going to make the process too. You know what we need here and what needs to work here is a simplification of the process in such a way that it encourages people to actually be part of it, to actually take part in it. And that comes with removing every obstacle, every impediment that might encourage them to not want to report. Okay, so bottom line, while the safety officer, of course, will receive the aggregate reports, all the filled out forms should come to the safety officer for him to be able to put into a coherent report and present it to management. I do not believe that he should be the only person that they should be reporting their misses to. Hello, Wale. Hello. Hello.
I hear you, sir.
All right. So the next, so I wanted to add to that the other time about the report. Like you said, if there is an established structure that there should be established procedure for reporting. And I used to be of the opinion that how you are able to move along the structure, establish it procedurally to be able to get reports. So that is that about that in addition. So Oluwa said, thank you so much, sir. Knowledge well impacted. Kindly share the presentation. Mr. Richard said, kindly share the presentation with me. We used to send it every week. Everyone that has been joining us for the past weeks, months, we know that we send all presentations to to our email address via Zoom, the way we used to do every time. So Ms. Blessing also said, thanks so much, I appreciate. Mr. Sunday also appreciated you, sir. Mr. Awal also said, very good presentation, I benefited from it. We have answered this already. Blessing said, well done, sir. And I think that is all that we have. Thank you so much, sir. We appreciate your time. We appreciate your effort.
Thank you very much, Wale. It's been a pleasure doing this.
Thank you so much, sir.
I look forward to seeing you guys again.
No problem, sir. No problem, sir. We will contact you again. So we have some information for us. Please let us stay online. We have a few information for us. Number one is that next week we are having another section, but next week's section will be anchored and handled by my humble self. It's been a while. You know, we've been inviting a lot of people a lot of professionals, experts to educate us. So next week we are having a very important section. And what will I be talking about? I know some of us are aware of the 3 days sub-safety skill that I will be creating the content myself, and we'll be having the training at the first week of September, between 1st to 3rd of September. And these soft skills training, like we've been talking about, are tailored towards specific things that we need as professionals. Professionalism is beyond just having certificates. There are some soft skills that will boost our potential, that will make us to stand out, and we'll be able to furthermore convince our management and be able to stand out there when it comes to driving safety acumen. So those are courses we'll go alongside talking about job hazard analysis in detailed job hazard analysis. Also, part of the course is safety accident investigation, where we'll be carrying out case studies. We'll be looking at data, how to develop safety data to prevent accidents, trends and patterns for accidents, leading indicators, lagging indicators. How do we present these things? What are those templates that we can use in order to present our case to management? And then the third course would be about HSC dashboard, various dashboards, how we can create dashboards, how we can utilize it in order to present our safety statistics. These are very important training soft skills. I will still post more about the training alongside on all my social media handles. So if you are interested in this training, it is not expensive. Like I said, it's a 3 days training, soft skills training, and it costs only 15,000 naira per person. So if you are attending, you can message me on WhatsApp and show your interest so that you register and would have this training together. So also next week, I'll be giving us an overview of the whole training section and how it can benefit us. So join us if you want to know more about this training. Join us next week. Join us again. Let us learn together. Let us talk. Let us discuss. And if there's anything you think that we can also do together, please. It's an open floor. We operate an open door policy. So always let us know your opinion about this. Like I said, the course is very important for us. Let us have this course. There are soft skills training, and I bet you will not want to miss it. You will not want to miss it. So if you're interested, my WhatsApp number is, I'll write my WhatsApp number now for those that don't have it. My WhatsApp number for the business line. So chat me up on WhatsApp and have the opportunity to register. People are already registering already, and we have want to take a maximum of 100, just 100 alone. So, and the registration will close in the last week of August. That is in 2 weeks' time. So just 100 alone, because that is the maximum Zoom can take. It's going to be virtual. So we are interested. So the earlier, the better. Please let us take use of this opportunity. Also, we should know that for safety engineering, we will be having a summit of Nigeria Institute of Safety and Engineers, which will be coming up in November. It's going to be a very wonderful moment, and we invite everyone to join us as we celebrate Nigeria Institute of Safety and Engineering. Thank you all very much. We appreciate your presence. We appreciate your time. We appreciate your doggedness to have spent your data, to have spent your time to learn, even though it's learning, but also you are the real G's, because without you, we might not be really motivated to continue with this. Thank you all. We appreciate your presence. Mr. Richard, our first person to join us today. Mr. Sunday Odibo, Mr.
Sorry, good evening, everyone. Sorry, my phone that I was using for connection actually went off. This is Wale. I'm using my wife's line. She was also online. So, Mr. Ejiro Michael, please help us to end the class. Please kindly let us end the class. We ended the section. My phone went off suddenly. Sorry. So, see you all next week. Mr. Ejiro Michael, please kindly end the class. And or Mr.